Welcome to English Avenue Bookish. Today's lesson is not like the others. Today we are not just going to improve your English. Today we are going to change the way you see yourself. Because what I'm about to share with you is not just a lesson. It is a mirror that will show you who you truly are and who you are truly capable of becoming. So take a deep breath, sit comfortably, and give me the next 35 minutes of your life. I promise you, by the end of this, something inside you will shift. Something quiet, but powerful. Something you will carry with you long after this video ends. Every word in this lesson is simple. Every sentence is clear. So you are not just building your mind today, you are also building your English. 2 gifts in 1 lesson. That is the English Avenue Bookish promise. Are you ready? Good, let's begin. Lesson 1. The Sternthewants say. I want to start with a question. When you think of a strong person, what do you imagine? Maybe someone tall and confident. Maybe someone who speaks loudly and never seems afraid. Maybe someone who never cries, never doubts, never breaks. Most of us grew up believing that strength looks like that. Loud, hard, unbreakable. But I want to tell you something today that might surprise you. The strongest people I have ever seen, the people who changed the world, the people who survived the impossible, the people who built something beautiful out of nothing. They did not look like that at all. They were quiet. They were patient. They were gentle. And they carried something deep inside them that most people never notice. It is called inner strength, and it is the most powerful force a human being can possess. What is inner strength? It is not the ability to never feel pain. It is the ability to feel pain and keep going anyway. It is not the ability to never doubt yourself. It is the ability to doubt yourself and still take the next step. It is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward even when fear is sitting right beside you. Inner strength is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not need applause. It simply works silently, steadily, day after day. Here is the story. There was once a woman named Sarah. She lived in a small apartment with her 2 children. Her husband had left. Her savings were almost gone. Every morning she woke up before the sun rose, made breakfast for her children, took them to school, went to work, came back, cooked dinner, helped with homework, put them to bed, and then sat alone at the kitchen table and looked at her bills. Nobody saw what Sarah was carrying. Nobody knew how heavy it was. On the outside, she smiled. She answered her phone. She showed up. She kept going. One day, her daughter asked her, "Mama, are you ever scared?" Sarah looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she said, "Every day, my love, every single day, but I have learned something. Being scared does not mean being weak. It means being human. And being human means you can also be brave." Her daughter didn't fully understand those words then. But 20 years later, when her daughter was a successful doctor facing her own difficult moments, she remembered them. And they saved her. That is the power of inner strength. It does not just save you. It becomes a gift you pass on to others without even realizing it. So how do you build inner strength? First, stop waiting for the storm to pass. The storm is part of life. Learn to walk in the rain. Every time you face a difficulty and you do not give up, you are building a muscle, a quiet, invisible, powerful muscle. Second, talk to yourself with kindness. The voice inside your head is the most important voice you will ever hear. If that voice is always harsh, always critical, always saying you are not enough, then every step you take will feel like carrying a heavy stone. Start speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you deeply love, because you deserve that kindness too. Third, celebrate small victories. Did you wake up today when everything inside you wanted to stay in bed? That is strength. Did you answer that difficult email instead of avoiding it? That is strength. Did you choose to be kind when someone was unkind to you? That is strength. These small moments matter. They are the bricks that build the great wall. Maim. Pause. Remember this. You do not discover your strength when life is easy. You discover it when life is hard, and the fact that you are here still trying, still learning, still moving forward, that already tells me everything I need to know about how strong you are. Lesson 2. The Art of Letting Go. There is a story about a monk who was crossing a river. The water was strong, and the crossing was difficult. On the bank of the river, he met a woman who was afraid to cross. She was dressed in fine clothes and did not want to get them wet. So, the monk did something unexpected. He lifted the woman onto his back and carried her across the river. When they reached the other side, he set her down gently. She walked away without a word of thanks. His younger companion was shocked. For hours afterward, he could not stop thinking about it. Finally, he said to the monk, "How could she not thank you? After everything you did for her, you carried her across. Doesn't that bother you?" The monk looked at him calmly and said, "I put her down hours ago at the riverbank. Why are you still carrying her?" "Haz! Why are you still carrying her?" That question, those 6 words, they have the power to change your life if you let them, because here is the truth. Most of us are not suffering from what is happening to us right now. We are suffering from what happened to us years ago that we never put down. We are still carrying the insult someone gave us in school. We are still carrying the rejection that broke our heart at 22. We are still carrying the failure that made us feel worthless. We are still carrying the words of a parent who didn't know how much they hurt us. And all of this weight, this invisible, enormous weight, we carry it everywhere we go. Into our new relationships, into our new jobs, into our new chances. And then we wonder why we feel so tired, why happiness always feels just a little out of reach, why peace is something other people seem to have but not us. The answer is not that we are broken. The answer is that we are carrying too much. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean saying that what happened was okay. It does not mean pretending you were never hurt. Letting go means this. It means saying, what happened to me is part of my story, but it is not the whole story, and I refuse to let a painful chapter become the title of my entire life. Here is the story. There was a man named James. When he was 12 years old, his father told him something that no father should ever say to his son. He said, "You are not smart enough to succeed at anything important." 12 years old. And those words went inside James like a splinter under the skin. For 20 years, every time he tried something new, every time he was close to success, that voice came back. "You're not smart enough." And he would stop. He would shrink. He would find a reason to quit before he could be told he had failed. At 32, James was in a job he hated, in a life that felt too small. And one evening, a mentor asked him a simple question. "What is the oldest story you are still telling yourself?" James thought for a long time, and then he said quietly, "That I am not smart enough." His mentor nodded slowly. Then he said, "Who told you that story first?" James told him, and for the first time in 20 years, he cried. Pause. That night something changed. Not everything, not immediately, but the splinter started to come loose. Because James finally saw something clearly. The story was never true. It was never his story. It was his father's fear, his father's limitations, his father's pain, placed onto the shoulders of a 12-year-old boy who didn't know he had the right to refuse it. Over the next 2 years, James slowly, imperfectly, bravely, started to let go. He went back to school. He started a small business. He failed twice and tried again, and eventually, he built something he was genuinely proud of. Not because he became fearless, but because he put down a weight that was never his to carry. So let me ask you, what are you still carrying? What old story are you still letting define you? What splinter is still under your skin, making every step a little more painful than it needs to be? You don't have to answer out loud, but sit with the question, because the moment you can honestly name what you are carrying is the moment you can begin to put it down. How do you let go? 1. Write it down. Take the thing you are carrying and put it on paper. Give it a shape outside of yourself. Sometimes, seeing it written makes it smaller than it felt inside your head. 2. Choose a different story. Not a fake one. Not everything is perfect, but a truer one. Instead of "I am not smart enough," try "I am still learning." Instead of "I always fail," try "I have not found the right way yet." Small shifts in language create enormous shifts in life. 3. Give yourself permission to heal slowly. Letting go is not a moment. It is a practice. Some days you will put the weight down beautifully. Other days it will find its way back onto your shoulders. That is not failure. That is being human. Just keep choosing again and again to put it down. The river is waiting, and you are allowed to cross it without carrying everything you were once given. Lesson 3. Why comparison is the thief of your specific joy. We need to talk about something that is stealing from you every single day. Quietly, invisibly, without permission, and it lives inside the screen you are probably looking at right now. Comparison. The habit of measuring your life against someone else's life. Your progress against someone else's progress. Your Chapter 3 against someone else's Chapter 20. Theodore Roosevelt, one of the most powerful leaders in history, once said something that is even more true today than when he said it over 100 years ago. He said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Think about this. You wake up in the morning feeling good. You had a productive day yesterday. You are making progress on something that matters to you. You feel, for a moment, genuinely okay. And then you open your phone. And within 60 seconds, you see someone your age who has already started 3 companies. You see a friend from school who just bought a house. You see a stranger on the internet who seems to wake up at 5 in the morning, work out for 2 hours, speak 4 languages, run a successful business, raise perfect children, and still have time to post a beautiful picture of their breakfast. And suddenly, your perfectly good morning feels not enough. Suddenly, your genuine progress feels small. Suddenly, the quiet life you were building feels embarrassing. Nothing changed in your actual life, but everything changed in how you feel about it. That is what comparison does. It is a thief. And unlike most thieves, it takes the one thing that is hardest to get back. Your specific joy, the particular happiness that belongs only to your specific journey, your specific pace, your specific story. Here is the story. There was a gardener who had a beautiful garden. He grew tomatoes and roses and herbs and small fruit trees. Every day he worked in his garden, and every day it gave him deep satisfaction. One afternoon, his neighbor invited him to see his own garden, and the neighbor's garden was extraordinary. It had rare flowers from other countries. It had a fountain. It had trees that had been growing for 50 years. The gardener went home that evening and looked at his own garden, and for the first time, it looked small to him. Ordinary, not enough. He stopped enjoying his morning walks through it. He stopped noticing the smell of the tomatoes in the sun. He stopped feeling proud of the roses he had grown from seeds. His garden had not changed, but his eyes had. A few weeks later, an old woman came to buy herbs from him. She walked through his garden slowly, touching the leaves gently, smelling the flowers. And then she stopped and looked at him with soft eyes. She said, "I have visited many gardens in my long life, but yours has something very rare. It has love in it. You can feel it in every plant." The gardener looked at his garden again, really looked at it. And slowly, what he had lost came back, not because the garden had changed, but because he had remembered what it was actually for. It was not for comparison. It was for joy. His joy. Specific, personal, irreplaceable. The lesson? Your life is not in competition with anyone else's life. Your garden is not supposed to look like your neighbor's garden. It is supposed to look like yours, grown by your hands, at your pace, in your soil. How do you stop comparing? 1. Every time you catch yourself comparing, ask this question. Am I comparing my behind the scenes to their highlight reel? Because that is almost always what is happening. You know your own struggles, your own doubts, your own difficult mornings. You only see their beautiful results. It is never a fair comparison. 2. Compete only with who you were yesterday. Did you do better today than yesterday? Did you learn something new? Did you choose courage over comfort, even once? That is winning. That is the only race worth running. 3. Celebrate others genuinely. This sounds simple, but it is deeply powerful. When you can look at someone else's success and feel genuine happiness for them, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing their win as evidence of your loss. You start seeing it as proof that good things are possible, and that proof benefits you too. Your joy is waiting. It has always been waiting. You just have to stop letting comparison steal it, day after day, one small moment at a time. Lesson 4. The conversation that changes everything. I want to tell you about the most important conversation you will ever have in your life. It is not a conversation with a mentor. It is not a conversation with a loved one. It is not even a conversation with someone who changed your life. It is the conversation you have with yourself. In the quiet, in the dark, in the space between sleeping and waking. When no one else is listening, because here is the truth that most people are not ready to hear. The story you tell yourself about yourself is the most powerful story in your life. More powerful than anything anyone else has ever said about you. More powerful than your past. More powerful than your circumstances, because your story creates your identity, and your identity creates your actions, and your actions create your life. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people. They both grow up in difficult circumstances. They both face the same obstacles, the same poverty, the same lack of opportunity, but one of them tells himself this story. Life is against me. I was born unlucky. Nothing will ever change for people like me. And the other tells herself this story. Life is hard right now. But hard is not the same as impossible, and I am not finished yet. Same circumstances. Pause. Completely different lives, not because one was luckier, but because one had a better story. The question is not, what happened to you? The question is, what story did you decide to tell about what happened to you? Because you have more power over that than you think. Here is the story. There was a young boy named Malik who grew up in a neighborhood where the adults around him would say, every day in different ways, boys from here don't make it. They said it without cruelty. They said it because they believed it. Because for them, it had been true. But Malik had a grandmother, and his grandmother told him a different story. Every night before bed, she would hold his face in her hands and say, "You are not from here, Malik. You are from something ancient and strong. Don't let this street tell you who you are." He did not fully understand her words when he was young, but he carried them, like a small warm stone in his pocket. Years passed. Life was hard. There were failures. There were moments when the other story, the limiting story, tried to take over. Boys from here don't make it. He heard it in the silence. He heard it in the rejections. But every time, he reached into his pocket, and he found that small warm stone. And he kept going. Today, Malik runs a youth center in the same neighborhood where he grew up, and every day, he holds the faces of young people in his hands and tells them a different story. Moz. That is the power of the right story, told at the right moment, to the right heart. What story are you telling yourself, right now, today, about your worth, about your future, about what is possible for you? If it is a small story, a limiting story, a story someone else handed you a long time ago and you are still carrying, I am asking you today to put it down. Gently, without drama, just set it aside and pick up a truer story. A bigger story. The story that says, I am still here, I am still trying, I am not finished, and I am more than what has happened to me. How do you change your story? 1. Notice the story first. You cannot change what you cannot see. Start paying attention to the automatic thoughts that come when you face a challenge. What do you immediately say to yourself? Write it down. 2. Question the story. Ask, is this actually true? Is this always true? Is there any evidence that the opposite is also true? Most limiting stories cannot survive honest questions. 3. Practice the new story out loud. This feels strange at first, but saying your new story, speaking it into the air, giving it sound and breath and life, this is one of the most powerful things you can do. Your brain listens to your voice. Use that. The conversation that changes everything is already waiting. It is waiting in the quiet, in the space between your thoughts. And it begins the moment you decide to tell yourself a truer, kinder, braver story. Lesson 5. What happens when you stop running from hard things? Oh, okay. I need to be honest with you now. Because everything I have said so far has been true, but I have left out something important, and it is this. Growth is uncomfortable, real growth. The kind that actually changes you. The kind that takes you somewhere you have never been before. That kind of growth does not come without difficulty. It does not come without struggle. It does not come without moments when you genuinely want to stop. And in our world today, we are very good at avoiding discomfort. We have phones that distract us the moment we feel bored. We have food that comforts us the moment we feel sad. We have entertainment that fills every silence before we have to sit with our thoughts. We are the most comfortable generation in human history, and possibly one of the most lost. Because here is what happens when you spend your life avoiding hard things. You never discover what you are actually capable of. You never build the muscles that only difficulty can build. You never find the version of yourself that lives on the other side of the struggle. And that version of you, the one on the other side of the struggle, is extraordinary. I promise you that. Here is the story. There was a man who found a cocoon hanging from a branch in his garden. Curious, he sat and watched. After some time, he noticed a small opening appearing in the cocoon. A butterfly was beginning to emerge. He watched for hours as the butterfly struggled. It pushed. It stopped. It pushed again. It seemed exhausted. The hole was so small. The butterfly's body so large. The man began to feel distressed watching this struggle. So he made a decision. He took a small pair of scissors and gently enlarged the opening. The butterfly emerged easily then, quickly, without any more struggle. But something was wrong. The butterfly's body was swollen. Its wings were tiny and crumpled. It could not fly. It crawled along the ground and died within hours. The man did not understand. He went to a botanist friend and described what had happened. The friend looked at him with sad eyes and said, "The struggle was the point. When a butterfly pushes through that small opening, the pressure forces fluid from its body into its wings. That struggle is what gives it the ability to fly. By removing this struggle, you remove the very thing that would have made it beautiful." Nop. Pause. The struggle is the point. Not all struggle. Not unnecessary pain. Not suffering for its own sake, but the specific difficulty of doing hard things that matter to you. That difficulty is not an obstacle to your growth. It is the mechanism of your growth. Every time you sit with a difficult emotion instead of running from it, you grow. Every time you choose the hard conversation instead of the comfortable silence, you grow. Every time you push through the moment when you want to quit, you grow. Every time you face something that frightens you, and you do it anyway, something in you opens, like wings. How do you stop running from hard things? 1. Start small and intentional. Choose one small hard thing every day. Make the difficult phone call. Start the exercise routine. Begin the project you have been avoiding. Do the hard thing first, before the comfortable things. Build the muscle of doing hard things with small daily choices. 2. Change how you talk about difficulty. Instead of, "This is too hard," try, "This is making me stronger." Instead of, "I can't do this," try, "I can't do this yet." Language is not just description. It is instruction. Your brain takes its instructions from your words. 3. Remember why. When something is genuinely difficult, when you are in the middle of the struggle and everything in you wants to stop, go back to why you started, not the surface reason, the deep reason, the reason that is connected to who you want to become. That deep why is the thing that will carry you through. You were not made for an easy life. You are made for a meaningful one, and meaning, almost always, lives on the other side of hard. Closing. We have come a long way together in this lesson. We have talked about inner strength and how it is quiet and invisible and more powerful than anything loud. We have talked about letting go and how the weight you carry from the past is stealing energy from your present. We have talked about comparison and how your specific joy belongs to your specific journey. We have talked about the story you tell yourself and how that story is the most important one you will ever hear. And we have talked about difficulty and how the struggle is not the enemy of your growth. It is the engine of it. I want to leave you with one final thought. You are not a finished product. You are not a fixed, completed thing that cannot change. You are a living, breathing, constantly evolving human being. And every single day, you have the ability to choose something different, to think something different, to become something different, to become something different. That is not a small thing. That is everything. There were sin, toft. There is a Japanese proverb I love. It says, fall 7 times, stand up 8. Not because falling is nothing. Falling hurts. Falling is real. But standing up, choosing to stand up one more time than you fall, that is the whole story. That is the complete definition of a life well lived. So wherever you are right now, whatever you are carrying, whatever you are facing, whatever story someone told you about yourself that you have been believing for too long, I want you to remember this. You're still here. That means something. You are still trying. That means everything. The world needs the version of you that exists on the other side of your fear. The version of you that has done the hard thing, said the true thing, chosen the brave thing. Not perfectly, not without stumbling, but consistently, day by day, step by step. That version of you is not far away. It is one decision away, one choice away, one brave moment away. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I am genuinely proud of you for showing up, for listening, for choosing to invest in yourself when you could have chosen something easier. This is English Avenue Bookish, and this is what we do here. We build your English. We build your mind. We build you. PB. Main. Taos. If this lesson helped you, please share it with someone who needs it today, because the best gift you can give another person is not money or advice. It is a story that reminds them of their own strength. Take care of your mind, protect your peace, and never forget you are not weak for feeling. You are not broken for struggling. You are not behind for moving slowly. You are human, and that is the most extraordinary thing to be. Until next time on English Avenue Bookish, stay curious, stay kind, stay strong. See you in the next lesson.